I'm frequently asked about my business journey, whether it's the acquisitions, whether it's entrepreneur endeavors, and did everything just work out for you? And the answer is no, it did not work out. And so I wanted to share basically what I carried through the darkness in those times. And by that I mean both on my person and in my head. And let me explain that. So way back when, 30 years ago now, plus, I quit a corporate job. I had dreams of what I wanted to accomplish, and most of that was harder than I thought it was going to be. I'd had a lot of success. Have I had failures? I did have failures. I had flunked out of college after being National Honor Society in high school. How that happened, and it's a good question, but that took a hit on my self-image, self-esteem, and eventually I said I can't live with not understanding that I could have succeeded, so I went back and I did fine. But most of the failures you've had, you will learn more from those than the successes. And a big piece of it is to keep pushing forward. Learn, but keep pushing forward. So how do you deal with those times, and how do you get through those times? And so there's a few lessons that I want to talk about. Number one, back in the 90s, you may not know what either one of these are. I had a Walkman, which was the equivalent of a MP3 player. Now it's on your phone. And a Walkman put in literally cassettes. And you probably don't know what a cassette is, but it's basically a taped audio. So what I did a lot was I used to run every morning, and I would strap on my Walkman like is shown in this picture, and I would listen through headphones, wired headphones. They weren't Bluetooth at that time, to Napoleon Hill's Law of Success. I think it was 17 audios, and I would listen to one of those, and then the next day I'd listen again, and I'd replay the beginning and keep doing that. And I worked hard to keep my mind on what I wanted and off what I didn't want. I was running out of money. At the lowest point, I had $40 left to my name, family's name. I was married with a child, and was basically without credit as well at that point. And there were times when I was running and listening and wondering if it was ever going to change, that I would think about a college friend of mine who I, after college, went and visited, and he was limping. And I was like, that's weird. Hurt your leg? And he said, nah, I don't know what's going on. Then I'd see him again, and he was in worse shape. And I found out that he basically had MS. Then he was in a wheelchair. Then his left arm didn't work. Then his right arm didn't work, and he would type on a computer with a straw in his mouth. Imagine how long that took. And then they had to tether his head so that it didn't flop over and suffocate him. And I remember saying to him, whenever I feel sorry for myself, and there were days when I did, that I would think of you. And you've never complained. And he said, well, you're not around me all the time. But he said, I will tell you this, Bruce, is that you have hope. You have hope that this is going to succeed. This, for him, this is the best day physically I'm ever going to have. I'm on a 2% grade going downhill. And that is hard to wrap your head around. But he did that pretty well. And so did I keep the inputs from Napoleon Hill in my ears? Yes. Did I have put the thoughts of him and how he persevered and what he lived with, basically being a prisoner of his own body, which seems hideous? Yeah, I put that inside my head. So that's what I carried around with me through the darkness. And ultimately, things worked out. Did they happen as fast as I wanted them to? No. Were there times that if I let the wrong people talk to me, that it further pushed me down? Yes. So I got really good at thinking about who's been there, done that. The friends, fools, family, those people, they didn't have the experience that I was going through. They didn't have the way through what I was going through, so why would I listen to them? I remember when we were starting the property tax business, and there were a couple of us that were partners. That was it, little tiny office. We were going after IBM, and everybody and their brother said, "Oh my God, you guys are such pipe dreams. You're never going to get IBM." Well, we did. And the end result of it was we did multiple properties. We saved them millions of dollars. We shared in that. So be careful who you listen to. Be careful where you take advice, because in the times that things are not working out, you can be extremely vulnerable. And it's easy to get pushed towards, well, maybe you're right. Maybe I should go back to what I was doing. Maybe I shouldn't dream this big. Maybe I should protect myself and just get a job which has got more security. So people think. Not true. So I would encourage you to remember maybe the path that I went through. Did I have the same doubts you had? Probably yes. Was I pretty good at staying busy and taking action? I was pretty good at that. And then keeping track of who I talked to, keeping focused on what I wanted, what I didn't want. I didn't put it in my head. It crept in there every once in a while. But managing your thoughts, super important. If you haven't read Think and Grow Rich, I would encourage you to do so. There's a lot of good lessons in there. You know, I probably listened to those 17 cassettes 500 times probably. But what you put in there, what you think about, is very, very largely a part of the success or failure that you will have. So pay attention to that. So I hope that helps. Hope that you are looking at brucewhipple.com, seeing the steps, understand the steps. You know, again, the podcast, the videos, there may be a nugget in there that helps you. So go ahead and subscribe to the videos and like it if you so desire. But I do it to help you, and it's from lessons that I've learned. So keep that in mind. Keep pushing, keep taking action, and keep your mind on what you want and off what you don't want.